Whilst there is a heavy focus on the party leading up to the death of Noah Presgrove, what really happened at the party house post-death going into the evening? Welcome. Previously online, an interesting individual showed up claiming to be one of Noah Presgrove's cousins and was present at the party house post-death of Noah Presgrove into the evening. That the individual went on down along with their wife supposedly to fetch missing items, personal possessions of Noah which weren't retrieved earlier, such as from Noah's body or the scene itself at the highway. But when Noah Presgrove originally walked away at 3:30 in the morning, September 4th, he left his phone behind, his wallet supposedly, hat, glasses, and it was the role of an individual named Paul Poucher to go and fetch them. However, things didn't go as planned, as he says, because I and my wife, name redacted, went there the evening we found Noah to get his belongings. Walking up, you could smell the bleach, and that was hours later. All they wanted, the family, his stuff, personal belongings. We could see some belongings through the glass door. It was a ghost town. There was no one present, but just a dog barking. Paul's statement garnered a deep intrigue of attention from people wanting to know more. And so Paul Poucher doubled down by stating that the area smelled like bleach on the outside of the property. An individual known as Sonny responded asking, "Were you there?" And Paul replied, "That evening, September 4th, to get Noah's wallet, hat for his nana, known as Deborah Smith. I'm Noah's cousin. The house was empty, and I could smell bleach like 3 feet outside the door. No one answered." In addition, Paul stated, "I went that evening to get his wallet and hat, mainly wallet. The house smelled like bleach, very bad, and no one answered the door." Join me now as we take a deeper look into this, analysing the possible point of view of what Paul Poucher faced himself when up close at the doorway, and understanding where the other partygoers could have been at the time, and furthermore using some more recent footage in 2024 to prove the possible presence of dogs on site at the property. Hi there. When it comes to the party and the possible usage of bleach, I've done a video already discussing was it really needed or not. When looking at the party footage, it didn't look that much of a mess unless things drastically transpired Monday morning onwards. But today, I want to break it down bit by bit so you're familiar with, and we'll go at it with a steady flow. I just want to say welcome properly to this video. And for those watching during the live premiere, you can share your live reactions in the chat box on the right side of the screen. And for anyone at any point or time, including those on catch up, if you have any comments, whether you agree, disagree, if you've got any questions, answers, theories, or ideas, you let me know down below in the comment section and tell me, do you think that Paul Poucher is really Noah Presgrove's cousin? And do you think that the real Paul Poucher is stating the truth by heading on down to the party house the evening post-death of Noah Presgrove? It's quite a significant moment, that, because it's quite an eerie atmosphere knowing what's already gone on, the possibilities at the time, the unknown, the uncertainty of who could be responsible, who knows what's going on, and it just being so fresh in the moment and not far from when Presgrove was last seen alive, being at the house where people were staying and up to a certain point based on Caden's timeline, and then, as Paul said, becoming a ghost town. Was anything left behind? Did the police go back to the house afterwards or before Paul arrived? And where did those said partygoers that were remaining on site until police came for questioning, where did they go later? Now, if any of you, have your doubts or skepticism, you're welcome to share that too. All the comments can go down below under the video. It will help with spreading awareness, starting new discussions, and maybe creating new video ideas. And speaking of spreading awareness, if you are on mobile I've found out that it only works on mobile devices at this moment in time. Not too sure about tablets, but if you go down to the comments section on mobile, you get the two little dots that will say comments. If you swipe across, it will then say hype. If you click the hype button, it will help with spreading the awareness and pushing the videos out there. Big shout out to Jam Sandwich that was able to do it last night, much appreciated. For those that can't find it, you need to be on mobile, and you can only hype videos on a channel 3 times maximum in a week, and then you've got to wait till the next week. It's a new feature that's been added in. Just want to spread that awareness so you're aware of it yourself. If you simply want to catch up on previous videos and the full playlist on the Presgrove Case, which I've created, you can find that top right corner where the eye symbol is up there. Just click there, you get the drop down menu box. If you want to support the channel, below pinned message under the video, there is a PayPal link to me and channel membership. So, in terms of the Paul Poucher situation, it originates, I believe, from the Justice Family Run page, a discussion in the past and comments coming up. It might have been May of 2024, correct me if I'm wrong, 28th. And I didn't hear or see about it at the time. A couple of weeks ago is when I first came across it about Paul Poucher, a supposed cousin to Noah Presgrove. The only other cousin I've heard of over and over again that's been quite vocal is Ashley Chadwick. But this Paul Poucher guy hasn't been acknowledged by the family before or counted, but because the comments, I guess, remained up to a certain point back then, maybe the family approved of it and didn't see anything wrong because it was the truth. However, in terms of the concept of missing items, as like what Casey Smith, the mother, says, Robin Smith, the aunt, and Ashley Chadwick, that the wallet, the hat, the glasses, for example, are missing and have not been returned back, that could ring true even to Paul Poucher, who was missioned upon fetching those items but came up short, because what else can you do? If the house is locked up, you can't get in. So did Paul Poucher try returning back a different day or what? There was no context or follow-up there, which is very unfortunate. But if Paul Poucher is watching, or anyone else that knows of stuff, be sure to leave an update down below. It can help with that understanding in general. However, whilst the house is locked up, where did people go? Is it that deep? Is it that dodgy or suspicious? I mean, I can understand people moving away because it might be too upsetting, but having to remain up to a certain point to at least answer questions by the police and then going back to their families, their friends, their parents to seek comfort, to get away from the upsetting scene with Noah Presgrove, I do understand that. But in terms of the bleach smell from what Paul had witnessed, that's very interesting, because why would they be cleaning up the party so quickly, depending on the timeline, whether it be Caden's or if it be Jack Newton's? If it was 5:15, for example, so people heard about it sooner, people reacted quicker, did they also react in cleaning up quicker before the police had come on down to interview? But wouldn't the police have picked up on the smell? Would it have been done after the police had left? But if it's done after the police had left, then it would mean the police had the opportunity of seeing what was still there and original, which could be incriminating evidence. But it depends if the police were actually looking for that, or they were just simply there to ask the questions because they didn't have the right for a search warrant at the time. It all comes down to where this supposed evidence could have been, this possible incriminating DNA, if there's any blood, anything that belongs to Noah. And in terms of the smell, had been described supposedly that there was empty bottles of bleach on the inside of the property somewhere when looking through. But for the smell to be experienced on the outside, shows that it's quite strong, or it was used nearby. Was any of it used outside? Who knows? Was it just inside? And because of being close to the house, the door, if any windows were open, it could have come out that way, the scent. But did it really need cleaning, and cleaning so quickly? If it was based on Jack's timeline, 6:15 onwards, so they found about it later, the news, would they have had as much time to react, to clean up and do stuff? Is it the typical attitude and mindset to have to clean up immediately? Is it as a distraction? Is it as a means of trying to cover for someone or yourself? There's different ways of interpreting it. But the theme of bleach is normally associated in true crime cases, and people will often jump to the possibilities of it must be suspicious, but it can also be innocent as well. So you've got to acknowledge it from both angles. But as I said, the mention of a dog present on site, how groundbreaking is that? It's just interesting to, have a supposed understanding that besides partygoers, there was a dog or couple as to who they belonged to, the party house, the ones that lived there, you would think. Now, of course, you can't interview the dogs, even if they are witnesses to something, they can't talk. But just to try and reinforce whether it's true or not, we can look at some previous footage, which I have shown a couple of times now, and we'll start with that first and then go off from there with images. It dates back to 2024 when a stranger was driving on down to the party house property at a time of when Logan Jernigan, Carter Combs and Avery Combs were living there eating dinner, having lasagna. And even Logan Jernigan acknowledged it online on Facebook when calling me out. So what we're looking at first of all is the backstory behind that footage from 2024 in which Logan Jernigan reacted to, but it's actually in regard to the clip that I uploaded. What I uploaded is not what I recorded, right? Somebody else recorded it, passed it on to me. I guess Logan didn't know that at the time, so she was just reacting from my channel, but it went to show that a party goer somewhere or another was watching my content on the case, and it would be very interesting to know if there are any other party goers, friends of friends, family of family, that are still watching till this day. And if so, you can leave a comment down below, or if you want to reach out privately, there are social media links on my main channel page. So what we'll do, we'll just read it out first of all, just so you know, because maybe not everybody has seen this before and others may have forgotten. Then we can move on to the dog situation. Logan said, 18th of July 2024, I just want to know, in what world is this okay? What kind of people do this kind of thing? Going to the party house where 3 young girls lay there, head to sleep every night. Recording and posting it publicly for any and everyone to see. This is sick. This makes me sick. Being worried about whether or not some grown man or woman will be at your house when you wake up or go to sleep is terrifying. Not knowing if they will do something to you or one of your best friends in your sleep. How is this okay to anyone? How is this being glorified? Lord, please protect me and my girls from these lost people. So it's an interesting reaction and response to this, right? Recording and posting public for everyone to see, that's a sick thing to do. I mean, in terms of if there was any trespassing, I can understand that being a problem, but I wasn't the one doing it because I wasn't actually there. In terms of just uploading the footage itself, that is not sick. I wouldn't say there's much wrong with uploading the footage, providing it's on the outside of the house and providing nothing has been shown, as in people or, faces on camera, or, up close with the door or the window. I mean, you go on Google, you type in Presgrove Case, the party house. There are public photos of the party house. You go on Google Earth, you go on Bing Maps, there is street view imagery at the party house and it's all public, just like this particular video or a screenshot from the video itself. The act of going on down there and recording it, you could say it's a bad thing. But the act of documenting or it being passed on and you're seeing a visual image of the house, like what other people have done at other times, in that sense, what's being shown or revealed isn't anything new or private because it's already been public in the past. So it's not really, causing issues there to that extent. But I can still understand the worry of not knowing who comes and who goes and who's waiting outside. If there was other forms of vigilantism, if they had already been shaken up by previous attempts and damage to the property, I get that. I guess the aim of the person that was recording it was just to provide a perspective of what the area looked like up close when investigators, when police, when other media had failed to do that. So, in a way, it kind of fulfills that understanding of the property of Party House, just like how more appropriately in recent time, 2025, when an individual was driving down the highway south and covered the side profile of the Party House, which no one has ever been able to do before, not even the party goes with the public footage. And that gives a new perspective on the back patio and possible back porch area and the pasture where the side-by-side rollover occurred. So it's all very important, that. But is there anything else to acknowledge? How is anyone with this okay? It's being glorified. How is this being glorified? In what way is it being glorified? It's just simply showing what the property looked like to get an understanding visually when narrating the story of what happened to Noah Presgrove. That's what it's mainly about. But other people might interpret it in other ways. Brandy said, "What is that?" And that was in response to the footage which originally supposedly showed a hazmat suit, a person round the side of the building. You can look back at my previous videos and maybe even rewind back earlier into this video where the footage was shown, where it appears to show that. Logan Jernigan cleared it up by saying the hazmat suit is simply a water meter at our home. And there was additional footage which backed and reinforced that. And I'll play that additional footage to you very shortly. But before we do that, Sarah Long, sister to Stevie Howard, the mother to Carter and Avery. Sarah said, "This makes me sick for you girls, but don't worry, we've got the video footage from the cameras, so the vehicle description and tag number are now in the hands of the police. So rest assured, this won't happen again, and I'll have to have my sister post the video of debunking the hazmat suit. Still so scary, people are so crazy they would even attempt this stunt." Now, does anyone know, is it illegal to drive down the dirt road to that Party House property? Whether that applies right now or if it applies back in 2024. Is it illegal or not? Because some people said it's trespassing and other people in the live chat said there's no trespassing whatsoever, no harm done. But what I find interesting is that Sarah Long is instantly jumping on in with, "We've got the video footage from the cameras." Oh, the cameras from the Party House. The cameras from the Party House property, which are conveniently working post-death of Noah Presgrove, but not possibly working at the time of Noah's death. Interesting. Very interesting when they decide to work and when they decide not to. Does anyone else pick up on that? When it comes to the act of people at the Party House, such as the party goers, the ones that lived there at the time, onwards in 2024, that when it's something that concerns them or puts them in harm's way, family are family, friends are friends, jump on in and say, "Don't worry, we've got the cameras, we've got the footage, we're going to sort that out and get justice for you." But when it comes to Noah Presgrove, was there a form of urgency with, right, we need to jump onto those cameras, whether they're working or not. We need to make a conscious effort in checking them out, checking the files, checking the cards, and seeing if anything's been recorded whatsoever. Did we get that same level of enthusiasm publicly documented? No. Very interesting. Okay, just basing it off that. Now, the bit about my sister, that would mean, I guess, Stevie Howard, the mother to Carter and Avery. That Stevie Howard recorded a video of debunking the hazmat suit. Beside that, we do have this other slide. Ashlyn said, "What is wrong with these people just to show up at someone's house and trespass? Not very smart." Logan Jernigan said, with context, "What's scary is we were just eating lasagna and had no idea someone was pulling in on our driveway, recording our home. Terrifying." So In terms of the video footage, it didn't show or indicate that those partygoers were inside or eating specifically, because it didn't show them. The windows were closed, the blinds, curtains were drawn, but still, it's an interesting thought to know that they were there at the time of the video recording. Yeah, and beside that, in terms of the reaction by some of the people that were angry by that video of the person going on down to the property, Jade Milan, the sister to Jasmine Milan, the partygoer, Rosa Newton, the one who's with Caleb Newton, Caleb, the father to Jack, Becky Barnes Matlock, some people may have heard of, and Sarah Long. With that being said, let's now play that additional footage. If you did notice anything of interest within that short bit of footage, you can leave a comment down below with a little timestamp. But back, returning to the shoes of Paul Poucher. Now, what we have on screen are example photos of the party house and the footage, but I'm using this one in particular because it's kind of like the same theme of it's dark, the evening time, that, you know, you got Logan Carter Avery inside of that house in one of the rooms, eating lasagna for dinner, probably the kitchen area or the lounge. So it's probably nighttime. This would have been probably the same visual aspect for Paul Poucher that was driving on down with his wife, parking up outside of the house, walking up to the door, which you can see back there where the light is, walking on up, knowing what's happened to Noah Presgrove, as in death, not knowing the cause of death, not knowing who was last to see Noah at the time, not knowing who could be responsible or who could know what truly happened and how Noah got from one place to another. So many questions, not enough answers, all on the same day. It's very interesting, the fast response time. Now, why was it Noah's cousin that had to come on down? Why was it no other family members, close or immediate? Is that because they were asleep? Is it because they were busy? I mean, would Noah's family, immediate family, really want Noah's items and possessions to be collected and brought back as soon as possible when it's on the same day as Noah's death? The case is only started and begun, that Noah's body being processed and analysed, the highway as well, up to a certain point in time, but surely the party house could have been a hot spot as well. Even though the police may have not treated it like that, maybe you would think that Noah's family would have been like, you know what, we think that the highway is important because that's where Noah was found, but we also think where Noah was last seen alive is just as important, which is the party house property and what caused him to walk away to and how far he went to get on down to the highway, you know, filling in the blanks. So there are very important pieces of evidence or items which are at the party house which belong to Noah Presgrove. They do need collecting and fetching, but wouldn't the family think it's a better idea for the police to collect it or even contact the police to go down and collect it themselves? That at the end of the day, when the police came on down earlier, so based on Caden's timeline by itself, which may not be the best one, at 7 in the morning, Caden Pressey said he was told by Renee to leave before the police get there to avoid questions. Caden Pressey left with Isaac, Brylan and Mikey. And then the ones that remained at the house were the likes of Logan Carter Combs, Avery Joe Combs, Renee Milan, Stephanie Milan, Renee Milan's husband and Stephanie Milan's boyfriend. As for anybody else, well, I guess later onwards you had Sarah Long that showed up as well, up until when the police came on down to do the interviews and talk. So Noah's items would have been somewhere in the house when the police came on down, but the police didn't think it was important to collect Noah's items at the time. And then later onwards, they all left, police left, partygoers, remaining ones left, probably went back to their loved ones, parents' houses to get some comfort, to get away and escape the nightmare, which is fully understandable. So no one's left. It's a ghost town. It's completely empty, the party house, all locked up. Are the cameras working? Yes or no at that point? Would Paul Poucher be considered as a trespasser if Logan Jernigan and Sarah Long highlight that when it came to 2024, when a stranger decided to come on down and record the place. Did Paul Poucher, Noah's cousin, have right to come on down, even if partygoers were not present at the house? Did the cameras pick up on it? Did anyone of the partygoers later find out about it? Did Sarah Long say, let's check the footage and see if anyone had trespassed in between or not? I mean, did Paul Poucher ever get in trouble for going on down? Did Paul give an advanced warning, as in, I'm coming on down to get the items? Probably not. Because Paul was expecting to just knock on the door, people to be home, get the items passed on, and then return back and then hand it to Deborah Smith or to whoever else. But was unsuccessful, and not successful after that, because those items are still missing till this day, and Ashley Chadwick and Robin Smith have acknowledged that. The hat, the glasses, the wallet, of course, card, and maybe some other bits and bobs in between. Now, it's just that eerie atmosphere, all locked up and quiet, no one left, but dogs are present, or a dog is. If a dog was present and the partygoers have left, where did they go and how long for? Because if the house was left untouched for a few weeks, if not 2 months, and not cleaned, as what some people on the dark side have said, maybe Stevie Howard may have said that, what, the dog was just left behind? It's hard to believe that if there was a dog present and it was barking and Paul came across it but didn't visually see it, only heard it, that could either imply that the dog could be nearby at a neighbour's place. But when you look at the party house property on the map, the neighbours are quite far away, unless the noise travels. But why would the dog be barking? How could the dog sense that Paul is present when they're distant away? Unless there is a dog on the side of the property, or more so inside of the house. But why would partygoers leave and not come back and leave the dog behind? That's hard to believe. But you've got to consider all these possibilities. And I will show you the screenshot where it does show dogs as proof. The timing of it, you could counter, but we'll get to that bit by bit. It's just that visual understanding. The evening post-death of Noah, Noah's cousin, one of which, comes on down, unannounced, not knowing that everyone's already left, that the police have already been early, but they didn't value Noah's personal items to take them in as evidence or process them. They just left them as they are. It was described in the comment section on Facebook further that whilst Paul was looking through the glass window of the door, which other people worded as just a window, as in one of the windows back there, which is different. The window of the door is much smaller, and how see-through is it? Well, just moving on, because we're doing it bit by bit. First of all, what you see circled are dogs from the looks of it. Now, did those dogs bark? Not in the footage, but there was music and an overlay over it, so you wouldn't really know. Did the dogs really move or react or start chasing the car down? No. Were they just left roaming about? It appears to be. There seems to be at least 2 dogs present. And, you might not agree with it. There's the party house door, porchway, where it's glowing, more the left side. That appears to be a dog. And, because of the video quality, because of the distortion, because of the angling and all of that, it can look like absolutely nothing. And the more you zoom in, the less it resembles the shape of a dog. But for me, it just felt like a dog, because there was a little bit of movement as well. I think shadows are casted behind, and if I was correct in saying, there might be a tail as well casted as a shadow. So there is definitely at least an object kind of in front of that white pickup truck, and I believe it is a dog, possible black dog. But then there appears to be another one there, a lighter coloured one. Whilst it may not look like a dog up close, when you look at it from a bit of a distance, it does look like a pair of dogs. Now, that could be true, but in 2024, that the ones that were still living at that house had adopted or got a hold of some dogs. I know Carter Cairns had a Facebook post some months ago, I think, or another party girl that had adopted dogs or a puppy or something, rescue. Any of that, any themes could link back to this, where they might have temporarily had a dog, adopted one, raised it, who knows. But this is 2024. We're talking about September 4th, 2023. This is just as a example, but it does prove that there were dogs and pets present at some point. But were these dogs and pets present back in 2023 when Paul was present and heard a dog barking? There's that every possibility. And even if it's not the same dogs, just the theme of partygoers liking dogs, having them at some point, they could have had a temporary one back in 2023. Now, you've got to take in mind that out of all the party footage what we've seen, not once have we seen a dog in the background or in the footage, or at least my opinion of that, an observation. You let me know if you agree or not, but it does seem clear that in this particular footage there were dogs. Did Paul come across these same ones or something similar, one or two? Paul didn't see them, he only heard them, so how far distance away were they? From afar, nearby, inside of the house, outside of the house, and how long was the dog or dogs there left for? Were they abandoned? Just interpreting it. Then on the far right-hand side, when panning around, there appears to be another object, which could well be another dog. Harder to tell, but it definitely resembles an object. So it could be 2 to 3 dogs. The reason why I'm also doing this video is because I know Tim Daniel asked about it last night, about where are these dogs. I said, I want to make it clear that this is 2024 video footage. Of course, Paul Poucher was there in 2023. But if you heard dogs, as an example, there are dogs present on site of the property later. So the partygoers may have had them or had one similar. That being in mind, when we go to this particular part, this is up close. The only example what we have of the front porchway and up close to the door, while Jasmine covers it mostly with her head, you see the door behind, you see the glass window panel. And to be honest, it's got its patterned glass, stained glass. And to be honest, it looks like you can't really see much through it, but maybe depending on the light, you could. However, if you think about it, what can you actually see through that window on the door? Because if it's kind of obscured already because of the glass, the paneling and the patterns on it, what are you really going to see? Because Paul Pouch is describing it as, I could see the stuff on the other side, some of the key items of interest that needed to be brought back as for Noah, and they were either on a table or all gathered in one place. I know some people in the community have said, well, it was Avery that gathered all of Noah's personal items from the party house and then put them in one place. That might be what Paul Poucher saw. But too late, as in, those that were once there had left. Paul comes on down, late to the party, no pun intended, unable to collect Noah's items. So then Paul has to go away. And then, however long it is then, until people come back to the house to then what? Take Noah's items, get rid of them? I wonder. Because if there was original intent of let's gather all of Noah's items, put them in one spot, and then we'll deal with them another day. Well, how were they dealt with? Where did they end up? Because the family didn't get them. If the party goers were still present at the house when Paul Poucher showed up, supposedly, Paul could have got those items and then passed them to the family. Would it have solved the case? Maybe not. Would it have led to any new leads? You never know. Right? Depends what the DNA and reports show when processed. But it's just all interesting to me. I'll try and zoom in as best as I can. You look at that door back there. You see the glass. Can you really see through it? All you can see is like a bright light. And what I'm getting at is, if no one's home, it's all locked up. Likely the lights are turned off as well, and it's in the evening too, so it's going to be dark. You're looking for a window, or a stained, a distorted window of a door, and it's dark inside. No light casted. What are you going to be able to see anyway? How could Paul Poucher be able to look through that small little window with all the lights off inside and be able to see things? Did Paul have a torch with him? Is there a letterbox which he looked through? A side window which he may have used as well? I wonder, what can you actually see through that window in comparison with the lights on and with the lights off? There might be a chance if the lights are on, you could probably see on the other side, see through. See some objects, but would you be able to visualize it very clearly and identify exactly what's what and even Bleach too? I don't know. You let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. as for this particular slide, this is on the inside and it's actually on the other side of the door, okay? So basically, whilst Paul is stood facing the door where Jasmine Millan was, looking through that tiny little window of the door, you got Caden Pressy's point of view here when he was at the party, and I've used it so you can see. And zooming in over that way, how it looks visually is probably how it remained when Paul got there in the evening on the Monday. So it appears it's like a shallow room, and then you've got to turn right to go into the open complex of the living, lounge, and then the kitchen area, as you'll be familiar with. But when going through that door, it's like a very narrow oval window. Can you see it? Very narrow oval window to look through. There is a light up there illuminating the small little room, illuminating the ground and everything nearby. If that one light is off and the rest of the lights are off, are you going to be able to see anything through that window? Or is it going to be difficult to see? Could be somewhat difficult to see. Where were the items then placed down? Well, it looks like you got maybe a chair, wooden chair and tables behind the door, which is kind of interesting in a narrow cornered area. Don't know why. There might be a lampshade or something, and then there is a wooden small table. Now that wooden table could be where all of Noah's items were placed on top, from the hat, the wallet, maybe Noah's phone, Noah's sunglasses, maybe. Even though Noah's sunglasses he lost, likely when slapped by Shane and Johnson on Saturday evening when outside of the party house, but they could have been gathered or picked up by someone and then placed back inside of the house. So the items, what you think of, which are missing and still are, some of those items, if not most, could have been collected and gathered on one of those tables, wooden ones as you see back there. And when Paul got there and the door was locked and no one answered, when looking through the window, he could see those items so close but yet so far away. You can look but you can't touch, basically. Was there a follow-up then? Obviously not, because the items weren't collected. They went missing. Close opportunity, but didn't come about. So I want to know your thoughts on what probably happened to them, and as well that smell of bleach. Outside, that Paul could smell it up close. Was it coming from inside? Was it coming from outside on the land, around about in the area? Did the dogs or a dog react to the smell of bleach as well, in any sense? And just a general area, right? And when was the bleach going to be used? Was it before police came or after police? You know, because surely they would have picked up on it and may have questioned it too. As in, yeah, okay, you might be cleaning up after a party, but should you be doing that when this place could be considered a place of interest, even though the police didn't do it in the end? You know, in the moment you could be thinking, right, let's not touch anything. Why would Paul think it's a good idea, even if he is acting on behalf of the wishes of one of Noah's family members, why would he think it's a good idea to go on down and possibly tamper and overlap and contaminate, you know, true original DNA which belongs to Noah or anyone else that may have touched the items? Okay, the ones that touched the items, he didn't know what happened to Noah. But then again, likely Noah's items, personal possessions, were all gathered together, put on a table back there from what Paul says, and that would have been post-news of Noah's death. So when people are panicking, worrying, crying, and then gathering the stuff up and then going to leave and being sidetracked and leaving it behind and saying, we'll do it another day, we'll sort it another day. Well, who was the next person to return back to the house? So after September 4th, 2023, who was the next person and the first person to return back to that party house, and on what day, what month? That's what I'm interested in. Because it was... Who was it now? Kathy Bingham, private investigator, that said 3 days after Noah's death, 3 days after, she was down there and the Millan family arrived at the house to do a deep clean for 3 days straight. Oh, did that involve the Millans going in through the front door and noticing Noah's personal possessions? Did they move the stuff? Did they get rid of it accidentally? Did some of them not know it was to do with Noah? I wonder if they were accidentally thrown away, discarded. But Noah's phone was left behind, and Noah's phone didn't go missing. It was handed in to police eventually. So that was handled with care, but the other items of Noah wasn't handled with care, maybe. I wonder why. And was the phone in the same spot as all the other items? You think if some items go missing, anything else associated in that same spot could go missing too, but the phone didn't. So was the phone moved earlier? Was it found later? Was it handed in before the other items were gathered up and placed in one spot? It does make you think. There's a lot of questions, a lot of possibilities. And as for the smell of bleach, where did it actually get used? Was it on the carpet, on the chairs, sofas, recliner, the kitchen area, the countertop, the door, the porchway, inside or out? You let me know what you think. Hopefully you found this video somewhat interesting and important, and hopefully it kind of cleared up some questions or put it into some perspective. I'm just working with what I've got and what's currently available and using my memory as well from the past, trying to bring it all together, past, present, future. It can all merge. Even if you've got something from 23, 24 and 25, if it's of the same spot, the same location, it can be linked or compared in some way to set a scene, to tell a certain story when the originals can't back up with their own footage. I mean, this whole Paul Poucher situation, how much do I believe in it? Never seen or heard of it before in the past because I just wasn't looking. I wasn't made aware of it. Genuine person or not, hard to tell. Did the family refer to Paul ever? Not to my knowledge. We need updates on it, really. And if Paul noticed anything else, and did Paul go back again? And, did Noah's family think Paul was a good idea in going down to pick up the items and then do what with it? Hand it to the family? Shouldn't it go directly to the police? Why didn't the police do something about it then? Why weren't the police notified by the family they really wanted those items returned back or handed in some way? Range of different questions. So it's always worth bringing it back, bringing that awareness and linking it to previous stuff because it can all link together. So feel free to hit the like button, share the video, much appreciated. And if you're on mobile, make sure to hit the hype button down below in the comment section or swipe across the comments to the hype button for that awareness and the playlist top right corner. My name's Warlike Raf. I'll see you next time whenever that is. Goodbye, good night for now.